Hi guys, and welcome to this video. To start off this video today, because we are going to be talking about something which is very sad and distressing, I wanted to start off this video by introducing you actually to one of my baby guinea pigs. He is called Wiam and he's got quite long fur, and I thought that was just a nicer intro than usual to let me know what you think of him. So for today's case, guys, we are back in Afghanistan, in Kabul exactly, and quite frankly I hadn't planned to cover another case in Afghanistan for a good 5-6 months after the one that I recently covered. But because I had a lot of comments on that video about the outrage that happened with that particular case of Sahar Gul, and also I'd already actually researched this case, gosh, about 4 or 5 months ago, and one of my colleagues mentioned this case to me, I thought, do you know what, let me re-bring this case to the forefront today. And quite honestly, when I cover a case, guys, I need to feel really passionate about that case so that when I'm discussing it with you guys, it is very natural for me to recount the case to you guys because I'm passionate about it. And quite honestly, at the minute, this was the only case where I felt like I really want to recount this to you guys. And this is why I'm doing this today. So we are going to be talking about the case of Farkhunda Malikzada. And I have to put out a disclaimer, guys, that there is a very, very high level of violence in today's case. If you were very, very shocked by the case of Sahar Gul, this is, I would say, almost on the same level of that, if not potentially worse. So just be aware of that before watching this video today. It said that Farkhunda was quite a religious woman. She would wear like a hijab, and she was, the way that she presented herself was, she was highly intelligent. Imagine, already she had a degree in religious studies, she was working, and so she came across as someone who's very put together at the age of 27. She'd done quite well for herself, right? So how this case starts, guys, and it goes into something which it's hard to believe that it could get to this point. So one day Farkhunda was leaving the mosque, so Shado Shamshira Mosque in Kabul. So she'd come out of the mosque basically after finishing work there. And outside of the mosque there was this mullah, he's called Mullah Zainuddin, I think. And mullah is like, you know, someone who's like a cleric, like a kind of senior person in Islam. So I think he was working at the mosque as well or something. He was standing outside the mosque and he was selling these little kind of amulets, like these little kind of necklaces. And so when Farkhunda came out of the mosque, she started having a conversation which became quite heated with this mullah, this clerical guy, okay? And basically she had said to him, look, what you're selling is like dodgy, like you shouldn't be selling this. And basically these amulets, so these kind of necklaces that he was selling were kind of like, don't really know how to explain it, they weren't Islamic necklaces. Basically they were something that was a bit weird for someone who's an Islamic cleric to be selling. I don't know what was on them, but it definitely was not something religious at all, probably way beyond that given what happens in this case. So he was selling these, and it's also discovered a bit later on in the case, but I'll give you that info now, guys, that he was doing traffics of Viagra and condoms as well as these dodgy amulet necklaces. So he was up to dodgy AF stuff from the start, right? So basically Farkhunda, she called him out on his dodgy dealings that he was doing literally outside of the mosque as well, while trying to portray himself as someone who's some kind of high cleric kind of person, right? Anyway, so Farkhunda comes out of the mosque, guys. She gets into this heated debate with this guy because she calls him out on his BS because he's doing all this dodgy stuff which he shouldn't be doing, and furthermore shouldn't be doing outside of a mosque, because this is a religious place. If you want to do your stuff, do it, but not outside of a religious venue. Do you know what I mean? That is not very respectful, first of all. So she calls him on his BS, right? He's obviously not very happy about that because he's just got called out outside a mosque and by a woman, which in Afghanistan, doesn't look very good for him, right? He looks like an idiot, basically, yeah? So he's obviously not happy about that. So this idiotic man decides to retaliate against what Farkhunda is saying to him, basically accusing him of selling all this dodgy stuff, which actually he is doing, right? So he retaliates by saying that Farkhunda, she has burnt a copy of the Quran, basically, right? Now, when it comes to religion, guys, I know this can be a very sensitive topic, and I always want to say that whatever religion someone is, etc., there needs to be a level of respect. I've said it since the beginning of my channel that I always welcome everyone from every religion, every race, speaks different languages, different cultures, whatever, on my channel, and there needs to be that respect level. So, in regards to this case, let's get back to it. So this man was accusing Farkhunda of burning a Quran, right? And in a country like Afghanistan, that is a very extremely serious offence, I want to say, first of all. And so when this guy says this, guys, this is in a really crowded, you know, sort of marketplace area of Kabul where this mosque is, right? So obviously there's a lot of people that are hearing what this mullah, what this cleric man is saying, that Farkhunda has burned the Quran, yeah? And it just so happens that all these people that are hearing this are men. There's just loads and loads and loads of them, right? Okay. So very, very quickly, guys, after the mullah has made these accusations about Farkhunda, things escalate super fast, like literally within minutes, if that. And this whole mob of 49 men approximately start kicking and beating Farkhunda in the street. 49 of them, yes, you heard that number correctly, guys, are kicking and beating this 27-year-old woman in the street, and Farkhunda is on the ground. Now, there are some police around, so they try to disperse this mob of 49 men, essentially, or more, and they want to accompany Farkhunda to safety to like a shopping precinct, which is a mile away, so she can obviously get away from these psychopaths, right? Farkhunda, because she's very religious, she says she'd prefer a female police officer to accompany her, which is, you know, understandable, it's fine. But somehow that doesn't happen. And so suddenly again, not after very long, this mob starts up again trying to attack Farkhunda. So she runs back inside the mosque, so Shado Shamshira Mosque, right, where she works. She runs back in there to escape these people, these lunatics, but they go into the mosque. So the police bring Farkhunda up onto the roof of the mosque so that she is completely out of their way. So it's obviously much harder to reach them, because the likelihood of them climbing on the roof is a bit more limited, I want to say, right? However, what happens is when Farkhunda's on the roof of the mosque, she slips, because obviously it's a roof, so it's not safe, you know. So she slips off the roof of the mosque and falls onto this like ground in the street, which is literally where all this mob is standing. And these people, guys, they start beating her again, kicking her, hitting her, honestly, and they start dragging her, you know, across the ground, and then people are throwing stones and all sorts. And some maniac, lunatic man has the bright idea to run Farkhunda over with a cart. And when I read that part, I mean, this whole story, guys, is really unbelievable. It's awful. When I read that part, I was just like even now it makes me feel really emotional, if I'm honest, because I just it's just, I think even someone that is a normal person that would be standing there would still try to interject and stop this, because this is just something that is unimaginably horrendous, of course, right? So this lunatic runs Farkhunda over with his car, right? At that point, somehow Farkhunda is still alive, which I don't even know, by the grace of God, how she is. And then these people start dragging her about 100 meters through the street. They're throwing rocks at her. And by the way, guys, some of these rocks, they're not like, you know, like little stones that you find in your garden or something. These are rocks which are probably the size of, like, I want to say like a watermelon. Like, these are ones that are like the size of someone's head. And they're throwing them into her face. Like, honestly, guys, I don't even know what to say. And so, as you can imagine, undoubtedly, Farkhunda, she passed away unnecessarily because of this accusation that she burnt the Quran, when she actually didn't burn any Quran. She accused someone who was trying to pass himself off as being very religious, as a religious cleric, when actually they were trafficking condoms, Viagra and dodgy necklaces with God knows what on them. And I just want to say, guys, just to interject here, what person who thinks they are committing an act on behalf of any god thinks that the right thing to do is to kick, hit a woman with sticks, run her over with a car, and then throw rocks at her the size of bloody watermelons? What person thinks that you are committing these acts on behalf of God? Like, would you think God wants you to run someone over with a car? Like, this is what a lot of these suspects said, is that they felt like they had to do this because, you know, she burnt the Quran, even though there was no proof. She wasn't tried in any Islamic court or anything, and so we must beat her and run her over with a car. Really. Now, of course, Farkhunda, I say of course, logically, Farkhunda passed away, and her family didn't want to just, how can I say this, just give up on everything and not fight for their daughter or their family member, right? And there was a lot of outcry because there was a lot of women specifically in Afghanistan that were like, you know, this is absolutely disgusting by all means. There was a lot of protests from women, like thousands of women that came out with sort of masks, like pictures of Farkhunda's face on, to protest against this. The actual Prime Minister of Afghanistan at that time in 2015, who was Ashraf Ghani, he spoke out saying that there was an extreme level of violence used in this case, which was absolutely disgusting, which he said himself. The day after this happened, the chief of police of Kabul came out and said that basically this is what Farkhunda deserved because she had burnt a Quran. And yeah, when Farkhunda was dragged along the street and ran over with a car, basically the police officers, I forgot to mention, guys, they just sort of stood there and were like, okay, you know, people, please disperse. But they waited till she was ran over by the car before they told people to disperse. They didn't stop her being run over by the car, basically. I don't know if you guys remember, those of you that watched my previous video about Sahar Gul, there was a lawyer in that case called Kimberly Motley. And Kimberly Motley made an appearance in Farkhunda's case in 2015. Sahar Gul's case ended around 2014, 2015. And after that came Farkhunda's case. And Kimberly Motley was in this case from day one. So for those of you who don't know much about Kimberly Motley, she's a lawyer from the US. I think she's half Korean and half American, actually. And she's dealt with a lot of human rights legal cases in Afghanistan. So where the victim will have an Afghani lawyer, and it's a very extreme case of violence against a woman, for example, in Afghanistan. Kimberly Motley will step in as an attorney, as a lawyer, to push harder for convictions on case against criminals and perpetrators, basically, right? So Kimberly Motley heard about this case. She got involved. Bearing in mind, with the case of Sahar Gul, she went to court 4 times to overturn that case and get justice for Sahar. So with Farkhunda, she was like, right, we're going to have to go down this full force, tough route to deal with these 49 suspects. So actually, I think it was the lawyers of Farkhunda's family that got in touch with Kimberly and got her involved in the case, right, to strengthen it. So they went through this first court case, and Kimberly, I think especially after she went through several years of the court case for Sahar Gul, she was like, I'm going in hard. This woman died. She was run over by a car, beaten by 49 people. Like, Kimberly was like, no, we're going to go in. So she goes to court for the first trial. Now, shockingly, guys, the trial for this case lasted 2 days. That's right, guys, 2 days to sentence some 49 suspects and deal with that, which most cases that would have that many suspects, you need probably a good 2 years or so generally to work on that case, if not more. Not 2 days, right? Not 2 days preparation. And this happened in around March 2015, and by May 2015 this was in a courtroom and lasted 2 days, which is, you can see that the groundwork was not done on this case by the judicial system. So anyway, Kimberly, she manages to get, guys, and I cannot believe that she actually manages this, but she managed to get the death sentence conviction for 4 out of the 49 perpetrators, which is like a miracle in itself, right? 16 of them got like 20-year sentences, and the other ones got like, you know, very short-term sentences, like 1 year, 2 years, whatever. And then all these police guys, remember that I mentioned there were lots of police sort of standing around, not doing anything. I think about 11 of those police officers, they got 1 to 2 years in prison each. They actually got convicted as well, which in Afghanistan, like corruption 2.0, Taliban, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, the convictions this woman got is actually a miracle from God, literally, right? And then the chief of police, so the one who'd spoken out the day after Farkhunda's death, who basically said that Farkhunda had burnt the Quran, that she deserved what happened to her and all this, he got convicted as well. I think he got a sentence of 1 year or 2. He obviously got suspended, lost his job, he can't practice as a police officer. So he was convicted. The one who, in the end, the one who threw the huge rock, so remember guys, I told you some people throwing rocks that were the size of watermelons. It turned out that was a 17-year-old who did that. Firstly, why is a 17-year-old involved in beating women? Like, what the hell? So initially he should have got a 20-year sentence, but he got 10 years because he was a minor. Although he was a minor and, you know, was still able to kill a woman. And apparently that rock that she got in the head from this 17-year-old, that was the final blow that killed her. So I don't care that he was a minor, guys. Never mind 20 years, 10 years, you should have got death sentence. The one who ran Farkhunda over with the car, so he was supposed to get like a lifetime sentence. He got 20 years. The idiot one, the cleric one, remember from the beginning with the amulets, who actually accused Farkhunda of burning the Quran incorrectly. And later, guys, just to clarify, there are Islamic organizations, very high scholars and imams that actually declared that Farkhunda had not lied and that she had not burnt the Quran, and said that this man, Mullah Zainuddin, was actually a liar, right? So that Mullah Zainuddin guy from the beginning, he was supposed to also get a lifetime sentence. He got 20 years in prison. And then I think there was another one who had a lot of involvement in the case as well, like where it was, you know, an extreme level of violence. I mean, the whole situation is an extreme level of violence, but there was another guy as well that was supposed to get lifetime sentence and got 20 years. So the main parties involved got, I mean, all the suspects, apart from, I think there was like 8 that they couldn't find or something like that, or 6 that they couldn't find, but the others, so that's over 40 people, they managed to actually convict them and sentence them. The 4 who got the death sentence, actually, sorry guys, rewind back. So the 4 who got the death sentences, these were the main perpetrators. So the one who drove the vehicle, the Mullah Zainuddin guy from the start who made the accusation, the boy who threw that huge rock, and then there was one other. Those 4 were the ones sentenced to death, but then their sentences got appealed and overturned, and instead of that they got 20 years in prison, and then the one who was 17 got 10 years in prison. There was an appeals case, guys, after the main court case, and Kimberly Motley was taken, the lawyer, she was taken off of the appeal situation to, you know, back Farkhunda up against these 4 guys, because it was just to do with those 4, really, the main perpetrators, because the Afghan government was kind of like, you know, there's this American lawyer woman coming into our business, they don't want her involved and blah blah, and there was a lot of pressure which could have put Kimberly in a lot of danger, so she came off the appeal case. But even though they got approved, these 4, for the death sentence, then they appealed it, and this is how they got 20 years and 10 years subsequently. Irregardless, they still got sentenced, and all these other perpetrators got smaller sentences, and the police got sentenced. And that was the case, guys, of Farkhunda Malikzada. Now, honestly, guys, I still don't understand in 2024 how there is not more protection of women from the side of the UN, for example, like United Nations. They should be interjecting more to assist these women, either in regards to leaving the country or God knows what, getting them some assistance to avoid them being beaten to death. Because this case and the previous one I told of Sahago are not unique. This is something that is very common practice in Afghanistan, unfortunately and shockingly. And I just don't think it's good enough to accuse someone of burning a Quran when you've got no evidence, especially being accused by someone who is doing illegal processes outside a mosque and then is ran over by a car and beaten by 49 men in the street. And I'm going to be very honest, guys, I think all 49 of those suspects, including the minor that's 17, I think they all should have got the death sentence under Sharia law. Because Sharia law, beating a woman, running her over with a car, no, that's not acceptable in Islam. I'm not Muslim myself, guys, but I know that there is nothing that says it is acceptable to run a woman over with a car in Islam, okay? So I don't know what that's about, first of all. But yeah, I feel like they should have all got the death sentence, and they should have all got the death sentence by being run over with vehicles. That's how they should have got the death sentence, because that is the act that they perpetrated onto Farkhunda, right? So I feel like the punishment fits the crime. I don't know if you guys would have seen a post I put up a few weeks ago or so on my community page on YouTube, where I said that if my channel is monetized, and again, don't feel obliged, guys, whatever, if you want to watch my videos, not subscribe, there's no obligation. But in my community post, I did say that if I manage to monetize my channel, I will donate 50% of proceeds every month from my channel to charities that support women going through these horrific things that they go through in their life, because it's disgusting. And if my channel can do anything at all, if we as a community here on my channel can do anything to try and help some of these women that are victims of this, that are managed to survive these attacks, that need a defense attorney, that need support, that need food, that need anything, if this channel can do this, that would have been an achievement for me. I have a full-time job, guys. I do not really need the money from this channel, quite honestly. I do this channel because I'm extremely passionate about it. This is why I do international cases, to try and bring them to the forefront, so that things like this are not forgotten and things like this do not ever happen again, because it is disgusting and awful. And the process of creating these videos is for a purpose for me that is bigger than being an influencer or being whatever. This is why I come here, guys, in a simple t-shirt. I've washed my hair and I don't need makeup. I don't need any other artifacts to do my videos, because the videos are about these people who, quite honestly, I don't even want to call them victims. They are like people with a huge amount of strength that have had to go against an adversity which is horrific. So yes, if I manage to monetize my channel, guys, 50% of proceeds every month from this channel, once it's on a stable amount, not like £20 a month, will go to charities that can support women and people not women, just men as well, or children that have gone through horrific things like this, so that these things can stop. Okay, the other 50% I will reinvest in my channel, in filming equipment, in whatever. I mean, my channel is very basic, but if I manage to grow it, maybe in someone to assist me with editing, so I have more time to do more videos or whatever, basically, yeah. And each month, you guys, if we monetize it, you can, if you want to vote for different charities each month as well. So you guys will be highly involved in what goes on, and I will share who things have been donated to, etc, etc, of course, with you. Anyway, guys, as always, please do leave your thoughts on this video down below. Let me know if you feel like the perpetrators of this crime got the punishment they deserved or not. If there are specific international cases that you would like me to bring to the forefront, research, look into, and cover on my channel, of course, please do let me know. I'm always open to hear case suggestions as well. And I will see you guys again very, very soon, of course, for another video.